So if you listen closely to this video and apply everything I'm about to tell you, I'm going to have you driving men wild on your first, second, third, whatever date. All right. Trust and believe there are ways to enhance our dating experiences. There are ways for you to get better results. And I'm here to let you in on the secrets, the inside information that's going to help you along with that process. Now, let's face it, first dates can sometimes be nerve-wracking, and dates in general, right? Because again, I believe that these are tips that you can use on any date that you're going on with a man. But a lot of times I see people and hear the stories of individuals kind of shooting themselves in the foot and not setting themselves up for success. And I want to change that, okay? Now, let me just tell you, let me say up front, you ain't got to listen to anything I say, in the sense that if there's anything on this list that generally does not sit right with you, or you feel pulls you away from who you really are, then of course I would not want you to be something you're not, trying to win some man's over or, create a greater attraction or whatever the case may be. But I just want you to keep an open mind, consider it, and maybe test out a few things here and there, okay? But let's get to one of the first things you can do that will drive men wild on a date. And that is, ask him what his favorite color on a woman is, and then wear it. Hear me out, okay? So, I've done videos before where it talks about how red is a very great color to wear on a date, okay? And understand that colors in general send signals, they emit a certain kind of energy, and they can impact how people perceive and receive you. So there's the power of colors in that regard. But with me telling you to ask him, you are killing two birds with one stone. Well, I don't like saying killing. So you are writing two letters with one pen, all right? Better than killing birds. So one, by asking him, you are immediately showing a man that you actually care about what he thinks, that you actually take into consideration how he feels, what he enjoys, what he likes. That is extremely attractive, okay? And not only is it extremely attractive, it's extremely rare. That's not a move most women make, okay, or even think about making. And again, I understand some people might say, well, you got to wear what you like. Of course. But by tapping into what he likes as well, is going to give you an even greater upper hand. So again, just conveying to him by asking that question that you actually want to look good for him is a powerful, powerful thing. On the second hand, the other letter you're writing with the one pen, you are essentially going to increase your chances of there being a strong attraction because one, I'm going to assume you guys have already met, whether it be online or in passing in person before. So we know there's at least a foundation of attraction there. But then you're wearing a color that he likes on a woman, and that can heighten the attraction. So now that is only going to help set an even more positive mood. And that's kind of the third thing you can say it does, is that it creates a positive environment right off the bat. Because again, for a man to see you actually show up wearing the color that he mentioned, that's going to make him feel good. That's going to catch his attention. That's going to draw him in more. Now, let me say this. Do not ask the man what color he likes if you know you have no intention on wearing the color, or if you have colors that are deal breakers for you for whatever reason, right? At least say from the jump, hey, what color do you like on a woman except for boom, boom, boom. Even though I would say if there's really strong exceptions, don't even bother asking. just show up however you're going to show up. And it's not that a man can't appreciate you if you don't ask that question, but it is something that's out of the norm. And I do believe is going to help set the stage for you in a much positive, better way. And not to mention, like, let's face it, one of the struggles you could say a woman has when she's going on a date with a man is sometimes being concerned about, does he think I look nice? How is he viewing me right now? And so immediately tapping into something like that you know for a fact he likes because he told you, it's going to help in that regard as well. So if you're open to it, ask him the color he likes on the woman, not just his favorite color, because favorite color and colors he likes to see on a woman are different. Let me also say this before I move on to the next point. If you do ask him this question, and I applaud you for those who will implement this, and he says, it doesn't matter. You wear whatever you want, whatever you like. All right, cool. You still showed him in just asking that you have the mindset that is willing to consider his feelings and tap into his desires. So you still are going to gain some points just for that, okay? But if he says it's no big deal, because there's going to be some men who really don't care, or maybe don't even know what that color is. All right, so be it, and just go with whatever works best for you. All right, so now here's another thing you can do on a date that is going to drive men wild, and that is smell good. All right, I always make this little joke that, smelling good makes everybody a little bit cuter, at least a little bit, okay? It is a very powerful thing. And I think a lot of people, and I have to acknowledge, men and women underestimate it, and I don't think they implement it enough. I don't think they place enough investment into ensuring they smell great when they're going out. And so as a woman, I know sometimes maybe a man may not always comment on it, and therefore you may not understand if it is having any impact or not. But I can tell you just by human nature, when you're in the presence of something that smells nice, right, on top of looks good to you, that's only going to compound the attraction. So I have to say this, and I say this with love. Like I've been at various events where sometimes people, women, not only did they not smell good, they smelled a little funky. All right, I'm just being real with y'all. I'm not trying to hurt anyone's feelings, but it's happened, and I'm just like, man, I don't know if it's an issue of no one's telling them, or they just don't care, or they don't invest in it. But that alone, so on one end, smelling good can heighten attraction, but not smelling good can lower attraction. And as a woman, I'm sure you know that with the men that you've dealt with, right? So be mindful of that. Now, here's a key that I believe people should always embrace. When trying to determine what smells good on you, because that's the thing, understand that whether it's perfumes, oils, lotions, whatever, not everything is going to mix the same with everyone's body chemistry. And therefore, you don't get the same end result with the smell. You don't get the same end result as far as how long the nice smell stays on somebody. So you really want to make sure that you're not just assuming that something that's a popular smell is going to be good for you, get it, and then just be done. You actually want to test some things out and see what works. I would also say, in testing things out or in exploring what your scent should be. And think about it like this. Once you find what works, you don't have to get a whole bunch of different stuff. Stick with what works. That's it. Like, have your go-tos. And you can, if you like just wearing different stuff here and there, that's cool, but at least have your go-to. And a great way to discover that go-to is get the opinion of men. Ask men. If you have male friends, if you have male family members, ask them, does this smell good on me? You know what I'm saying? Ask people who are going to be very brutally honest with you, all right? So that you can ensure that it helps. Now, this is hitting my spirit, so I have to say this before we move on. Because I was thinking about some of the women that I said sometimes smell funky, okay? Respectfully. Sometimes we underestimate that the smell we're giving off is due to our diet. If you follow me, you know I'm very big on health and wellness. And I think sometimes people don't realize their issue is internal. Okay? And so looking into cleaning up the diet and cleaning up the diet more specifically in what is going to be best for you. Because again, different things work for different people. can help with, of course, just overall appearance with skin. It can help with smell. It can help with a lot of different things. I'm not an expert on this. I believe a good thing to look into is chlorophyll. Okay, a chlorophyll supplement. Some have referred to it like an internal deodorant. Okay, that's a good thing to look into to maybe add to your regimen. But making sure that you're doing the internal work as well will help you with heightening your ability to smell nice, smell fresh, all these different things. But smelling good, definitely a powerful thing that will drive a man wild. All right, so now let's keep this going. And this next one, some of y'all might be a little sensitive to it, but hear me out. You know, I'm always going to explain it. So another thing you can do to drive men wild on a date is find ways to create physical touch with him, okay? Now, here's why this is so important. This is not me saying try to move things in a sexual direction, okay? You can be a woman who's abstinent. You can be a woman who's waiting till marriage, whatever the case may be. And I think in those cases, it's probably even more important that you still find ways to create physical touch. Because consider a few things here. One, touchiness is a way that a lot of people evaluate a woman actually being attracted to a man. Her willingness to be close to him, to touch him, to create physical touch, that says a lot. And and if we're not going to be engaging sexually, or let's say you don't believe in kissing on the first few dates, whatever the case may be, he doesn't have any signal beyond you showing up and talking, which you may think is enough, but that doesn't give that man a more confident belief that you are attracted to him and into him. But you being able to create physical touch with him and showing that level of comfort around him does make him feel a lot better, makes him feel more assured that, okay, I think she's into me, she's feeling me, and that can help allow the progression of the dating to continue on. Now, I know for many of you, the concern will be, but if I'm creating this touch, he may take it the wrong way. And then he may try to initiate something sexual. And listen, I can't deny that might happen in some cases, right? But you still are able to, as long as you're not doing it in a compromising setting, right? So like, I'm not going to tell you, invite him back to your home when you're not trying to be intimate and create touch there. Because inviting him back late at night, then creating physical, that's definitely going to send the wrong signal. We're not talking about that. But let's say it's a date during the day, which I would advise if you're not trying to get sexual. And you guys are in this public place. So one, there's less of a chance of him trying to take it there, even with the physical touch. And then two, even if he then makes a sexual comment or makes a sexual advance, you still can decline. Like you can still say, no, like I basically discuss it. Like, yeah, I like you, but you know, I want to take my time when it comes to that and things of that nature. And if he is genuine about getting to know you and the potential of this relationship, he'll respect it. You know what I'm saying? He'll honor it. Now, if he comes out and says, listen, you can't be touching me like that and not expect me to want more. All right, then stop touching his behind. Like, at that point, take your hands off him. Don't get close. He don't know how to act. He can't control himself. That's a different story. If he's going to be that clear about it, that's a different story. Otherwise, I think there's plenty of men, tons of men who will be receptive to it without it becoming a problem or crossing certain lines. So physical touch is very powerful. And again, it creates a level of comfort and confidence within the situation that can be extremely, extremely beneficial. Oh, and one quick note before I move on to the next point. Maybe I don't need to say this, but I'm just going to be safe. No physical touching below the belt. Now, when I say below the belt, I'm not saying that y'all are going to reach straight for his package. But what I am saying is, like, I'm not saying put your hand on his leg. Not saying that you can't, but this is teetering on the line of sending a certain signal, okay? Above the waist contact would probably be the safer route to take if you are not trying to push things in a sexual direction, okay? So just want to throw that out there just in case anyone was confused about that. All right, so let's keep this going. Another great, powerful thing you can do on a date that will drive men wild is be fun, feminine, and positive, okay? So I understand that I've seen it happen all the time where a lot of women, they go on dates, and dating can be a very nerve-wracking experience for some. It can be very stressful for others. A lot of women go on a date, they're overthinking, they're overanalyzing, they're overly worried, they're in their head. And in doing all of that, they don't realize how they come across energetically, spiritually in that date. They don't realize they come across more tense. They don't realize they come across way too serious. They may even come across a little detached, which can then send signals of maybe she's not interested. Maybe she doesn't really want to be here, things of that nature. So that in itself can throw off the whole date, because then he may react to that. And now because you don't realize how you were coming across, you think the problem is how he's coming across now, which then causes you to react maybe in a negative way, and it just snowballs from there. So you want to focus on, when you go into the date, really, like, if you got to tell yourself affirmations before you go on that date, do that. If you got to remind yourself, I think a great thing to do if you are a believer is to pray and thank God in advance for what's going to be a positive experience. Okay? Now, positive experience doesn't automatically mean he's going to end up being the man for you. Positive experience doesn't mean he's going to be this amazing man in general. It just means you're going to be able to enjoy yourself, get what you need to get out of it, and that's all. And maybe just getting out of it is just learning that he isn't the guy, but still having a pleasant time, okay? So you want to make sure you get yourself in a very relaxed, calm, positive mindset. And when you are on the date, focus on speaking more in a positive tone, not in a negative tone. Like, for example, I talk about how a lot of times on dating profiles, online dating, you'll have some women who in their bio speak in a very negative tone. I don't want this. I don't like this. I'm not looking for that. It's very negative, right? Rather than I enjoy this. I'm looking forward to this. This is what you get out of me. A much more positive tone. You want to implement that in the date. You want to try to choose your words wisely. Be more mindful. And I know for somebody else, like, it's too much work. Listen, here's the thing. If you feel like it's too much work to speak and be mindful of how you speak in a positive tone, then chances are you need practice in your everyday life. Okay? Because if you were able to do it in your everyday life, it'd be easy for you when you go on a date. But for many of you, you're not, so you're not accustomed to it. So this feels like having to overwork yourself to accomplish it. So consider that. Consider practicing with friends, with family, in various situations, so that when you get to a place with a man, it can be second nature for you. Okay? So we speak in a positive tone. We want to be fun. Again, laugh. Laugh at the jokes he makes. All right. Maybe it's not the funniest, but maybe a little giggle, a little something. Work with the man. He's trying, right? Be lighthearted, because again, that very serious tone is off-putting. Okay. And it can throw the whole date off. And that's not what we want to have happen. So, and I'm not saying, like, if he's flat out just so corny and his jokes are trash or whatever. All right. I don't want you to fake, so to speak, but I want you to be loosened up enough that you can find humor in the little things. Okay? And that will help you come across more fun. And I think all of that then translates into you coming across more feminine, right? And that type of energy, that type of spirit is going to draw most men in. And of course, it's going to be more specific to the type of man that you desire, right? But I have tons of stories, tons of testimonies of women who have hit me up, email, comments saying, I listened to you, I tapped into my feminine energy, and it's working like crazy. I've had a few even say to me, it's working too well, I can't get these men off me. I'm not exaggerating, that's what she said. That's what multiple women have said to me. So it works. It works. And it's another one of those things where if you struggle with tapping into your feminine energy, you want to practice it in your everyday life, because it's not just a great tool as far as grabbing the attention of men or driving them wild. It's going to help you feel more at peace. It's going to help you feel better. It's going to make you feel lighter in your everyday life. And that's a great thing for you to experience. All right. So before I move on, be sure to go to my shop, stephanspeakshop.com. I'm about to go on tour really soon, and I'm always doing different events. So at my shop, you'll be able to get tickets to any of the events I'm going to be at coming up. Of course, copies of my books, courses, if you want one-on-one coach, whatever it is, you can find it all at stephanspeakshop.com. Click the link in the description or in the comment section. All right, so now, the next thing that you can do that drives men wild on a date is compliment him. That's all. Very simple. All right, this is a nice and easy one. Give the man a compliment or compliments, okay? Now, let me address this first, because some of y'all may say, well, these men don't know how to compliment anymore. And I will acknowledge, I've seen it, I know of it. I know some men are hesitant for various reasons, but don't let his potentially bad habits, or it may not even be a bad habit, it may be a fear, it may be something deeper going on there. Don't let that stop you from showing up the way that you need to show up and implementing things that are going to work in your favor, okay? Now, of course, as I said earlier, I don't want you to be fake. So if there is nothing to compliment him about, right? Too bad, so sad. Like it is what it is, right? And in that situation, if there's nothing to compliment him about, maybe we don't even want another date with this individual. But I want to say in most cases, if we at least make an effort to find something to compliment, we can. All right. And it's just, for most people, it's a fear of being vulnerable in the way of giving that compliment. And so I think being willing to do that is very powerful, because a lot of men, believe it or not, are not accustomed to receiving compliments. Okay. Even really good, like I think sometimes a woman assumes, oh, if he's a really good looking guy, he already has women sweating him all over. One, that's not always true, because if every woman thinks like that, then no one ever gives them a compliment, right? But also, compliments mean more when they're coming from someone you actually like, okay? When someone you have interest in. So even if the last 20 women complimented him, but he's not interested in them, he may want your compliment, and your compliment is going to mean way more to him than theirs did. So don't let that stop you, all right? Not to mention that I believe this is a good practice for what we need to establish foundationally in any potential relationship. And that is the ability to pour into each other, build each other up, compliment each other, and express desire, express interest, all these different things. A lot of people, when they're in a relationship, they stop doing that, or they never did, and they never learned how to, right? And that creates problems, or that can contribute to problems in many relationships. It can contribute to problems in a marriage, all right? And so I think it's important that we get comfortable with being able to celebrate each other and point out and express what we like and all these different things. So working on complimenting is going to be a very good thing. Of course, I do think when you can compliment on something physical, what he's wearing, how he looks, whatever, that's really good, because again, one of the things that men are concerned about when they go on a date with a woman is she really attracted to me? Okay? And is the attraction strong enough? Because plenty of guys have gone on dates and to find out the woman wasn't really interested or wasn't attractive enough. And that can be very disappointing. So being able to give those compliments, just as I mentioned, creating physical touch, all that conveys to him desire, interest, and that makes him feel more confident about where we are possibly headed with this potential relationship. All right, so now, this I kind of alluded to earlier, but let's just highlight it again. Another thing for a woman to do that can drive a man wild on a date is just be yourself. All right. And listen, because at the end of the day, like I told you in the beginning, I don't want you to go against who you really are. I don't want you to do things you can't truly sustain over the long run. I do think we have to recognize the difference between who we think we are and what we could actually improve about ourselves, right? And I won't dive too, well, I'll dive a little bit into that for a second. Because if, for example, someone says, well, I just don't give compliments. That's just not who I am. Is that not who you are? Or you're just not comfortable doing it? And there's a deeper rooted issue why you're not comfortable. And to me, that's something that's fixable. If you practiced it and you would get more comfortable with it, and now it can be part of your persona. You just have to get to that place where it's more second nature to you, right? On the flip side, if you are a woman, I like to use this example for some reason. Let's say you're a woman who loves the outdoors. You love outdoorsy stuff, right? Then I wouldn't want you to compromise that part of you and act like you're a woman that loves city life or whatever the case may be, and deny the part of you that loves to be outdoors or in the country or whatever the case may be, trying to win some guy over. No, because then you're at conflict with self, and that's not healthy. So that's kind of an example of the difference between recognizing something that's a part of who we are versus something that we actually can improve, but we think right now we don't fit into that mold, so to speak. And so ultimately, I do want you to be true to yourself. Now, I'm going to be real. Being your true, authentic self ain't going to drive every man wild. Right? I mean, and nothing on this list guarantees you to drive every single last man wild. But what it will ensure is that the man will know what he's signing up for, what he's getting. And if he truly likes you, there will be no conflict or misunderstanding. So many people, so many women and men try to put on a show, put on a costume, right? To, again, win the date or win over this person, being something that they're not. And then eventually your true colors will show. And when they do show, your true self is at conflict with who this person is and who this person thought he was getting in a relationship. We don't want that because that's a recipe for disaster and it's just a waste of time. So if you don't know who you are, then this is a great time in your life to start doing more self-discovery, start spending some more time with yourself. And I honestly think for a lot of people, it's not that we don't know who we are, it's that we have not accepted who we are. There's aspects about ourselves that we've always known, but we've either convinced ourselves that isn't us, or we shouldn't accept it for what it is, or other people have told us it's a problem, but it's not. You know, like for a while, I thought me being overly ambitious was a problem, right? And there were aspects about it that I did need to improve upon, but I had to get out of the mindset of thinking I have to try not to be super ambitious. It's just who I am. I had to accept that, but learn how to nurture it in the right way. Okay? So be true to yourself and understand that the person who is truly for you, who you can experience a genuine connection with, they will embrace that person, and that will set you up for much better results. All right. And last but not least, and some of y'all won't like this one, but you know what I'm going to say, hear me out. Another way to drive a man wild on that date is to express a desire to see him again. All right. I think one of the biggest miscommunications that are occurring right now with dates at times is both sides being afraid to be the one to say, can we see each other again? Or I would love to see you again. All right. And I understand the hesitation in doing that because no one wants to be rejected. No, people aren't always sure of how the other person feels. And so that creates hesitation there. I get it. But the reason why I put this on this list, and I'm not saying, like, if I spoke to men, I would encourage them to do the same thing. But speaking to you as a woman, what I want you to understand, if you'll notice a certain pattern that I stick to, is that expressing desire to a man is very powerful. Showing desire to a man is very powerful. And it can really really pierce the man's heart. It can really draw him in on another level when he knows you actually like him, okay? Like I've said it before, where there was a book where they surveyed people coming out of getting their marriage license, and they asked the husbands, why'd you marry this woman? And one of the most popular answers, if not the most popular answer they received, was because she liked me. And a lot of men are so accustomed to having to do the pursuing and even chasing in some cases and being the one to push things along. And I know some of y'all are like, not these men to date. Yes, the ones who are serious and genuine, they're in that position a lot. And so to have a woman say to them, I would love to see you again, that feels great. And if he has interest, it's definitely going to make him want to go harder, make him want to show up better. And it eliminates a lot of that uncertainty of where do we go from here, okay? And again, I'm not saying like force the issue. I'm not saying constantly like, okay, so when are we going to see each other again? When are we going to see each other again? When's our next? No, just a simple, I would love to see you again. That's it. That's all you guys say. You know what I'm saying? And then from there, if he can't run with that and initiate moving things along, then we can just assume it's just not going to work and it's just not there. But you did your part, and that's all that matters. Thank you for watching this video. I pray it was helpful to you. Be sure to watch this one over here on men are very attracted to these 5 things that set you apart from other women. They tend to leave out little bits and pieces that might expose where they contributed or created the problem. All right.
We'll be right back.